Well, there's a lawsuit now against Twitter. Twitter's being sued by a survivor of child sexual exploitation. And the filing states that Twitter did not take appropriate action on this exploitative video featuring a minor and two minors, actually. It was retweeted thousands of times. It had like something upwards of almost 200,000 views on the platform. And nobody at Twitter did anything until someone from DHS got involved. And it shouldn't take someone from DHS to get involved. I mean, clearly it's violating terms of service and this minor's rights, etc. Well, now they're dealing with the lawsuit. Co-counsel on this suit is Lisa Haba, partner of Haba Law Firm, and she joins us now via Skype. Lisa, thanks so much for your time today. Well, it's shocking because so many of us, we've talked about this with Twitter for years, and we've always wondered, why is it that some of these really, these very exploitative videos, and people report them all the time, but the accounts still stay up, but yet something of, a more, not so much sinister nature, like, just political viewpoints or people talking about the election, those are allowed somehow to stay up. The videos are, but the accounts with elections and all of that, those are suspended almost immediately. Lisa, tell me about this. What are your thoughts on this? And tell me about this filing.
Well, it's a great question. And thank you so much for having me, Dana. I appreciate you having me on the show. We have filed this lawsuit because we represent a young boy who, after being sexually exploited and victimized at 13 years old, after having videos given out of him in positions that never should be taken of a child, those videos, he thought he had escaped from his traffickers. He thought that chapter of his life was closed and that he was able to move on with his life. And at 16 years old, unbeknownst to him, all of a sudden he found himself at the heart of a vicious, vicious bullying circle at school. He was being bullied. He was being tormented by other students because a compilation video of his trafficking exploitation had surfaced on Twitter and had been seen by so many people in such a short amount of time that he became the subject of ridicule and actually became suicidal over the issue and almost lost his life.
Oh my gosh, that's heartbreaking. That is so heartbreaking. We're talking with Lisa Haba, partner at Haba Law Firm, and about this lawsuit that Twitter is against Twitter now, because the way that, and I want to point this out for individuals, because this is not a rare occurrence that this happens with minors. So they might be talking to someone over the internet, and these predators will gain children's trust. They act like there are also other children, like we're the same age as you. Oh, I'm also 13, 14 years old. And then they end up they end up getting compromising information about these children, and then they blackmail them for further exploitation, which is, from what I understand, Lisa, what happened in your client's case.
That's exactly right, Dana. And that's exactly what happened to our client. He had, been sent a photo from a girl, or who he thought was a girl, when in fact was a sex trafficker. And that person sending him videos asked for images back. And being a curious 13-year-old boy, he acquiesced, thinking that he was talking to somebody else and that was his own age. And instead, suddenly it turned into an exploitative situation where all of a sudden they're blackmailing him. If you don't do what we want, this is going to be the consequence. This is going to be the consequence. Your father will know. Your mother will know. Your pastor will know. Everyone in your school will know. Well, John Doe at 16, that became his reality.
Oh my gosh. It's awful to think about this. And it's what's even crazier. And then Twitter gets involved now, because the video, as you said, was shared on Twitter's platform. Tons of, hundreds of thousands of views on Twitter's platform. And the minor and the minor's parent reported this video. They reported it to Twitter. And did Twitter just ignore it? Did they even give a response?
Well, the amazing part is that, the mother of the child gave Twitter every deference. She thought Twitter would do the right socially responsible thing and remove blatant child porn from its platform. But instead, Twitter took several days to really give a substantive response back. And when they finally got around to responding, the response was, please prove your age and your identity. So John Doe said, okay, here's my Florida driver's license. It shows my age. You can see my face. I mean, it pretty much proves exactly who's in this video, and that he still was a minor. And Twitter's response after several more days was, we don't think this is a violation of our policies, and we're not going to take any further action. It was purely a blessing that they happened to come in contact with a federal agent. And had that not happened, who knows, that those images may still be up today.
Yeah, I'm so happy that they were able to come in contact with a federal agent. And I mean, it's insane that someone from Department of Homeland Security, as I understand it, had to actually intervene and in order to get the video off Twitter. But the sad thing is, Lisa, as you know, once something like this is on social media, I mean, you can't really control it. Once it hits the internet and it's shared, it goes viral. People can just download it. They can screen record it off of their phones. I mean, at that point, you have by refusing to remove the video, it's almost as if these platforms are culpable in enabling its spread and enabling other people to obtain it, because now then you can't control it. It's out of the bag at that point.
Absolutely. And the way our lawsuit has alleged it, those images were uploaded to Twitter's platform. They were distributed on Twitter's platform, and Twitter profited from each and every tweet that was sent, resent, retweeted, viewed in a matter of, the video was up for 9 days.
Oh,
9
wow.
days this child endured this. By day 2, there was 167,000 views and over 2,200 retweets of that same video. So if you think about that as on day 2, imagine the astronomical effect of retweets and views by day 9.
It's awful, absolutely awful. And then what it puts, obviously, this minor through. You said that they were suicidal, and I mean, it had contemplated it, obviously. I mean, that's something that because Google never forgets, the internet never forgets. I mean, this stuff stays up there. So where are you at currently, and what do you hope that Twitter will do, or maybe because they have it in their terms of service, but there's almost like no timeline given as to how quickly Twitter is going to act to take things down, and they seem inconsistent in terms of their willingness to cooperate with authorities. What do you hope to accomplish? Maybe change the terms of service, or what is the goal?
Well, it's interesting because the terms of service say all the right things. They say that they have a zero tolerance policy. They say that they do not tolerate sexual material of this nature on their platform, but their practices are different. And so what we hope to see is that their actions start matching their words, and that we start seeing Twitter taking a socially responsible attitude towards this inherent problem in cleaning up their platform. Dana, one thing that's been really concerning in our investigation into this case is that this is not an isolated incident, as you so accurately put it before. We have found a tremendous amount of child pornographic material on Twitter. And not only that, but it's not minor, it's blatant. It's in plain sight. Anybody can find it. Literally, it's a matter of typing in a search term.
Oh my gosh, it's sickening. Oh, it's sickening. And I wish that clearly they've proven that they have the ability to move quickly on this. I just would love to hear Twitter's explanation as to why some things that are not even remotely egregious in nature are targeted for swift action, but yet something like this, like 2 weeks. I mean, that's forever in a child's life. 2 weeks is forever in the span of, an internet day, for the lack of a better way to put it. Lisa Haba, we appreciate your advocacy on behalf of children who are victims of this trafficking and exploitation, and we'll be following this case. Thank you so much for giving us some of your time today.
Thank you so much for having me, Dana.
Of course.